Okay, so back to the daily update for the World Cup. Chances for the teams. How far do they go? As I'm saying here, the second match day is through now. So every team, we saw them twice, and actually we did have quite some more goals recently. So this was getting back to that a bit later, so we can compare again how many I did expect and how many there had been occurring. Anyway, the excitement may still be lowered, and people usually do not talk about the tension or the excitement. Okay, as long as there's some good football and some good goals, you would be happy. And usually people do support their country, so they have one team to follow. Of course, if the campaign is over, what are Italy or Netherlands doing right now? Are they watching it? I mean, there are other countries as well who did not qualify. Most likely, they're still gonna watch some football, but maybe without this excitement, or they pick their own favorite, their personal. Usually, you do have other conjunctions somehow to some other teams. Still, there's just one game per week when your team is playing, and there is 3 games every day. So what would you do with the other games? And usually, when you're getting into the competition, by following it, watching it, observing it, then you would love to have some excitement and some tension. And excitement, maybe good football, and or you would say, well, I would like to see a favorite, no, an underdog scoring a goal at least, so that we could hope for them to go on. Sometimes you might even think, well, if an outsider wins, it could help my team, because not just in their group, but also for the campaign in the process. So if many outsiders would go through and your personal favorite as well, it would make his chances. It would improve your team's chances. So so everyone, he can think for himself. Why am I watching it? Do I watch it? Am I excited about it? What I keep saying is, and what they do not notice here in Germany, I can say it may be otherwise elsewhere in the world. But they do not really care for the people betting. So I mean, what I mean by they do not care for, it's the reporting about the competition. Also, it's fully ignoring this. And if you would, well, there are some ads now here, and so people are actually invited to bet as well by these ads, but by these commercials, right? But um, still, they would usually say, "No, I do not bet. No, I'm not betting. Of course, I'm not betting. I would lose my money," or something like that. And actually, it's a very fair business, as I can prove myself. But also, it's just you're getting very fair odds and fair prices, and especially at the Asian market, which I try to bring some light into in other videos, and and so it's a very fair business, you can say. I mean, you're not obliged to make a bet, but if you find something that is attracts you, that is a good price, something where you think market may have some reason to go wrong, so you get a too good price in some sense, and then you go for it, and you can pick one in 1,000 games when you say this is the one I have been waiting for, and yeah. So and they fully ignore this here, which is, of course, that's what I wanted to get to get back to, or to mention at least, which is a very important factor for tuning in. I mean, why would you? I mean, if you watch it, okay, I watched Colombia yesterday or playing Poland. Okay, I'm gonna watch it. It's some entertainment for my night. For the night, I could watch a movie, but I'm gonna watch football. Okay, why would you do it? Maybe some good football, or you like Poland, or you like Colombia, or you say I like the competition, or you say I have a bet there, so I'm gonna watch it. And as soon as you have a bet, any game could be exciting, even if it's just for €5 or €10. It is still adding some pedigree, um, and people they well, it is supporting it. You would like to, I'm saying they are better than them, so I'm gonna take them. Or you can do this live as well when you say, okay, I saw Poland, Colombia now, 20 minutes, Colombia getting better, so I go for them. Or whatever you may do. This is live betting, which is also more and more professional and also exciting. And market is very fair on that as well, so you can just make your picks during the games. And of course, the broadcasting so they should notice at least that anyone who's into betting will be the first one to tune in, right? So why wouldn't they support this approach? Maybe it's otherwise elsewhere in the world, but it's something I wanted to mention at least at some point. Um, and so, but of course, what I would not like you to do at least by watching is just okay, I'm gonna watch it. I would like to watch it, or but actually it's too little excitement, so I'm gonna have a bet just to get my personal excitement there and to have some more reason to tune in. And of course, this is not the way to make money with it, right? But still, I mean, you have to wait for your chance. This is what I'm trying to say. And there could be good bets coming up, but you have to be a bit more patient and maybe just watch a game carefully and then say, now I made my opinion about this team, especially a World Cup. It is a bit different or a bit special, otherwise than in your own country, in your the league, the top league in your country. Mm. In which you may know all the teams already, and you know their style, you know the coaches, you know the players. Well, you wouldn't from Iran or Senegal or Japan or also Colombia or Argentina. Maybe you know the players, but not all of them, or whatever it is. But there is some more reason, of course, during the World Cup, to maybe be a bit more careful about the team's assessments and so on. I'm quite happy to this end with my evaluations of the teams, and I think I went quite well. I mean, for example, of course, we could talk in more detail about the games, but I mean, those were yesterday. Actually, I didn't make a video for 2 days now. We had these 6 games coming, at least not an English one or not an update of the chances, but we had mainly favorites winning, while Japan, Senegal, a draw is hardly ever a favorites result. But here it had been pretty close, right? 3-14, 3-29, 2-65, so pretty even game. And I think that was fully justified by the pictures, the way they played. And otherwise, we had just favorites winning once again. But so this part of the tension is lowered a bit. And okay, we will see that in the simulation coming up. And actually, I'm going to show you once again that results have been entered. Okay, we're down here. You see that in this column, this is the played ones, and this is not played yet. 9 German. And we're down to Poland, Colombia, which has been the last one played. So all the results are entered, which means I can start the simulation. And once again, it's telling me it wants the France Ligue 1 because I entered the data there. It's a small error. I converted this version to I updated it, so some smaller errors still in there. Okay, at least now we can start the simulation. It's 1,000 runs. You see that it's going rather quickly here. That's 150, 200, you see up there. Or I could also place it down here. You see how far we got. We're through in a minute, less than a minute. Anyway, about the World Cup excitement and tension, we will see that in a second. This is, I mean, there's the third match day to come. And I was promising this update. Okay, I'm gonna give you this update. We might even do a market comparison, but also from the pro or punter's point of view, you need some excitement in the competition or in the group, the groups, at least to have some good bets, to even find some, because I'm going to overwrite this one and I'm going to open this file now. Yeah, otherwise, yeah, you wouldn't find any good bets, and so we actually are waiting for some more interesting results. And I mean, I'm going to show you in a minute. This is the export as usual. I've created a new file with the number 9, and we had been here. That was last time when there were 3 teams qualified already. In Spain, very close to, and maybe there are more now. I guess so. So I entered those values, right? I didn't see that override. Okay, Portugal 887 and so on. So those are the right figures. Okay, and as usual, I refer to these values down here because this, for example, this is referring to cell B7. You see that one, so those are the figures that I just entered here, and we have 1,000 simulations, so they get through 1,000 times in 1,000 simulations, so they are safely there. And just to be able to sort that, I'm copying those values that are calculated from the entered. Now I can sort. And I don't know, no, it is doing it. So we do have now 6 teams are through for sure. This is obvious. Belgium and England joining the other 4. And we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams that are out of the competition. As they are not playing each other, we have like 14 teams that are not playing for anything, which means 14, this is close to being half of the pack. It means that usually in every game there are some ifs and buts, to say the least. And I did not even recompile the prices because this is not needed. There may be minor changes to those prices. But if we have a look here, I mean, we can go through and compare with the market, but I do not expect any exciting bets there. Okay, so here we have the reminder of the games, and we can check them, we can compare with my prices, and I can talk about it a little bit. And now we can, of course, we can still check this quarterfinal, which may not even be. Okay, so I pick semifinal and quarterfinal. Okay, now we can compare these results for a start, or these results, these prices, and just group by group. This is group H on top. It's meaningless. I'm checking this only once, just once, and here we have now Japan are favorites. So I mean, seeing Poland play yesterday, I might agree as well to that, but it's meaningless because Poland are out and Japan they have a very good chance already, which is including this this game being them being dogs. So this simulation actually, yeah, well, we can compare that. So I would have to recompile this price actually. If we have, if we compare now Japan to go to the semis, yeah, well, no, we could rather take them to go to the quarters, 575. And I have to check that here. Yeah, that's the one. Not in the game. Actually, it still is fine. Although, in the game we should bet Poland. So we should actually say, if I adjust this price to make Japan favorites against Poland, then the chance would be lowered. No, they would be improved, but the true price would be lowered. So we would have to bet Japan. I'm quite happy with as is because this is a dog. Well, maybe, yeah, but I would still think Poland might play their regular game and still try to. But you have to argue about those games, and so this is not just a lack of excitement. It is also, yeah, from the professional punter's point of view. Well, I hope these games are over in some sense, right? I don't want to get involved. You only get yourself into trouble arguing about it already. As I notice right now, what should I do? Adjust the price, and I say, okay, then I had to bet Japan. But why would I? Then I see Poland play regularly, and I think, well, I knew that. And no, you get into trouble with it, with yourself and with the market, and you actually do not know. Senegal against Colombia may be pretty regular, by the way. What do we have there? Their chances. Who's playing Colombia? Senegal 59.9% and Colombia next to them with 62.3%. So this is a very regular game, obviously, because you see those chances, and I wouldn't need to recompile. But the price on Colombia is a bit too low, or it's at least it is low. Of course, everyone saw them yesterday. They played a good game, and although Poland started pretty well, they took over and they deserved this victory. And they had this. I mean, I was thinking before the game, if you think about the names you find in the teams, you say there's Lewandowski, okay, very good, although he didn't shine really in the first one. But then you say, well, but there's James Rodriguez and there is Cuadrado, and so this is two Champions League top players, so to say, against just one. I mean, Krychowiak or whatever names are coming up. You wouldn't. This is not the same level. I would say this is 2-1, right? And in some sense, it proved to be like that, right? It's two top sides. I mean, Juventus, did they beat on the road Real Madrid, right? They were close to qualifying, although they lost 0-3 at home, 1-3 there. Or what was the result? 1-4 here and 1-3 there, something like that. At least that is top level, right? Cuadrado. And James Rodriguez, we do not need to say a lot more. Lewandowski, of course. Anyway, it was what it turned out to be, so I have to admit Colombia were pretty good, but I still liked Senegal. But although Japan did a very good job then, and 2-2 was a deserved result, and maybe even Japan were a bit closer, and I could say some tactical deficits maybe in Senegal, which is commonly the case. They talk about those players reaching the top level, which is the players themselves, and then you see them, which means African nations could be somewhere up there as well, semifinals, or in any big competitions they could perform. I mean, like the World Cup, there is just the World Cup. But they never do. And which is because I said that 30 years ago, I think, or 1990, there was Cameroon who almost knocked out England in the quarterfinal. But then it was when they all play together, they lose their concept. When there's just one, let's call him, well, colored. What is the term when it's allowed to use? Colored, he's a bit darker. If there's just one player in a team or two players, okay, they would very well adjust to that team's standard and to that behavior. So he says, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, okay, he's going to do it. But if it's 11 of them, they just, they lose their tactics somehow. And I mean, this is like being a racist or something like that. But if I have to make a living of that, so I have to be aware. Very good players, but somehow I don't know. I mean, Japan were a bit closer, so one could say Colombia were a bit better, while Senegal maybe not as good as they could have been. There is Mané, of course, and on the other side, I mean, Liverpool Champions League final, and on the other side, once again, Cuadrado and James. So we have that same relationship. But still, I would say the price is a bit too low on Colombia, but as I'm justifying it, I mean, we should only bet 4.23 compared to 4.01. This is just this one bookmaker here, so you could get a better price, but still, I would not really recommend that, as I had been arguing. And Japan, Poland, forget about it. I mean, not forget about it, but you're not making yourself happy with placing a bet. If you go with Japan, you say, well, and Poland are performing, and if you say Poland and then they're just going to lose again without any fight, no, you feel uncomfortable before the game and after the game, even if you win somehow. I mean, if you win, you're always happy. England, Belgium, very even. And this is, I mean, when I said in the first game, after the first game, England somehow made the best impression to me, which, it was under the impression of the first game and the day after I said that. But still, this is reflected here in the prices. So they are, They got the same goal difference against the same two teams. So they should be the same. I mean, that's ridiculous to say. But somehow England were a bit closer than those prices would reflect. So if I recompile this, it may produce these figures here. Panama, Tunisia, forget about this one. It's pretty close to the true prices. So we forget this one. Now we got another group, Mexico. Sorry, those are fancy games that came out by one simulation here, right? It's starting with Russia, Iran, I think. No, France, Iceland. Yeah, starting with France, Iceland. They are fantasy last 16 games. Okay, Mexico, Sweden, very close to fair. Actually, even the draw would be indicated. Would that make any sense to anyone? Well, in some sense, one could say Mexico are fine with the draw, right? What is the situation there? Oh no, Mexico, 6 points. No. Ah, okay, there is this chance, of course. Obviously, here you see that. There's this chance for them finishing on 6 points for all the three. So a draw is fine for Mexico. A loss, yeah, this is a maybe. Although they are still heavy favorites. For some reason, by what goal line margin did they beat South Korea? 2-0, right? Okay. So that makes these two favorites, as Sweden only won by a goal to 0. And Germany is still open, but there's no worse win than 1-0. So they would know about that. So they should win by a better margin. Okay, hey, Mexico are happy with the draw. So I could say this is a draw maybe. Why not? I mean, reflected in the figures here, which do make some sense, right? I mean, you could argue Sweden, yeah, they are opening up. Mexico, still, this is the way football is being played these days. They know a draw is fine, so they just defend and they say, okay, we're happy with the draw. And they manage. And South Korea, Germany, of course now South Korea would be indicated. South Korea are out. We ignore these games. But this would even better Germany's chances. So if there would be some kind of indication there, one would have to reconsider maybe. Serbia against Brazil. Okay, this is we still have those prices. Serbia would be there with a win, but they are having a hard time, right? 744, 435, so this is pretty close to my figures. Actually, there's no bet, although a very regular game. Coming back to Switzerland, we can compare the prices, the chances here. Switzerland are almost there with 4 points now, obviously. And just in case Serbia were to win, what would that mean for Switzerland? Okay, they could beat, they could go down to Brazil then, right? In case Serbia win and Switzerland lose. They both had 4 points, they drew with each other, so it depended on the goal difference. So, well, it's pretty unlikely. Still, with these 180 here would be indicated, but I would say Switzerland are for sure there with a draw. You would rather avoid this. Costa Rica impression was okay against Brazil, 90th minutes, they lost. But still, this is the third game, they are out. So, yeah, why not Switzerland actually? Can't see that. I mean, what kind of approach would that be? I mean, there is just this very small danger that Serbia are gonna beat Brazil, because otherwise they are through anyway. Yeah, okay. They could here at some point Brazil are winning, which means we are through no matter what. So they would not need a win. Still, they would not go with this approach. They just say they have a regular lineup, first of all, because they want to make sure not to lose the game and for some freak result here go out. So they start with a decent lineup for sure. And they will start with this approach, or rather do not rely on these two or one of them, or on Brazil or whatever it is. Just play your game. That's what they would do. So I would say Switzerland is a bet, actually. Once again, but we are on Switzerland already. Okay, so we some kind of analysis of this group as well, and the game approach, which is pretty important, and what people sometimes do ignore or do not care for really is if there are two games and the one depends on the result of the other one, or they know the result there. So in case they know the result is in their favor, they might be affected by that. Still, I would say in this case, Switzerland will just start with a decent approach. And actually, of course, Costa Rica are out of the competition, so they are the ones at the kickoff also would say, well, we do not really care. It doesn't mean they are not playing some decent football and playing for their supporters and so on, and they want to come back to the, and not with 0 points and so on. So they have some motivation for sure, but it will be lower than Switzerland. So if any adjustment to this price, one would actually have to say make it lower. But there is the if they know a draw is enough. Ifs and buts, but, this is not an if, this is a but. But a draw, which is reflected in this price here actually. But maybe they are not right. They just start with the right approach. They say we do not want to start to, what are Brazil doing? They do not want to, they are fully trying to ignore it. Coach is going to tell them, ignore the result. We are going to play our game. So this would be the approach. If at some point it gets difficult here or so, they might still say, okay. But they also, Brazil 4 points, Switzerland 4 points, so they are in some sense playing for the first place as well, which would be avoiding Germany. Germany with a good win could win the group. So, this is if, okay, it's not a but. Okay, I said I'm through with this, but I'm not. They play for the group win as well. But the group winner might face Germany, but this is far away. Iceland, Croatia. Yeah, this is a silly price here, of course. Iceland still have this remote chance, obviously, because they have a point against Argentina, and Argentina have a point as well. So there's this faint chance, long shot. But this long shot depending on Croatia performing, which obviously, market said they won't, which says to me, and I heard it already, he's not gonna field his A team, which is a very decent and fair approach. I mean, you say we're having enough games, we have another game to come, so Modric, you don't have a break, Rakitic, and so on. And sorry for that. And so we should rather ignore this one. I mean, I'm not saying, usually this is World Cup and they still would like to perform, and Iceland have only this long shot. So what would they do? I mean, they simply play their football, but their football would be defending. In this game, they won't just defend, they can't do that. So Croatia will have their chances. And if there's a B team, sometimes that would even help their chances. I mean, because this player, let's call him, A2, they tended to say they're all the same. He would say, well, if I score 2 goals, then he will field me in the next game, right? So the B team might even have more reason to perform than the A team would. So I would say, and Iceland are just going to go for it, but they might also notice at some points there's no hope at all. I mean, well, they could always. No, what is Nigeria are on? Nigeria lost one and won one, right? I had to look back at the results and the table. Yeah, they lost one and they won one, right? With a bad goal difference. They beat, no, they lost by 2 and they won by 2. So anyway, 2-2. So they are on 3 points. So the long shot is possible with any result, right? If Argentina win, Argentina on 4 points. Iceland could, Nigeria on 3, Argentina on 4, Iceland on 4. So they have it in their own hands. They win by 6-0 or so, and then they are better than Argentina, beating Nigeria. So, and in case of a draw, they still have the chance to no, this is direct comparison. What would they do? If they win and Nigeria draw with Argentina, what would the rules say? In the first place, it is how they played each other, right? So they would be out. Okay, so they do not have it fully in their own hand, but a draw is a shaky result, right? 3-0, this is a win, right? If it's 1-0, if it's 1-1, it's a draw. So this could at any point fall over. So in some sense, even if this were a draw, they would still keep going because they say, we are out as is, but maybe this could change. And so I would still argue, Nigeria, Argentina, this is too low on Argentina, but it's not far away, and they will take the last chance, but they didn't play so well, obviously, while Nigeria were okay in some sense. And so I would say this price is a bit too low, but it's obviously it's going along with my own price. So we ignore this game. What do we think about Croatia? And Croatia would be still my pick then. Well, I had to go with them, but still you feel a bit, you do not feel quite comfortable. But I keep saying Iceland's kind of game is defending and wait for the break. So they can't do that here, right? There's no way they're gonna go through with a draw, so they have to go for it. Croatia with a B team, which is still a good enough team, might be looking for their chance to get into the first team, and they also would say, well, we were being attacked, so what would you do? You wait for your chances on the break, and then they are gonna come. And anyone playing there, you would be happy to score a goal in front of a millions crowd, or billions, zillions, what is the word? All the world are watching. So I have to go with Croatia. That's a good one, I would say, in the end. Okay, so we worked out one more. Australia, Peru, where are these likes here? This is this group here. Australia and Denmark, France. So what are the chances here? France are through, so we do not care. What about Denmark? They are virtually there. What about Australia? Can you see them here? That's 15.7%, so this is still a decent chance. And what about Peru? They are out. So this is a boring group, right? I mean, it's just the decision between Denmark and Australia. And Denmark, they got 4 points, right? They won the first one and drew the second one. 1-1 against, and they won by a goal to nil. So they are on 4 points, and they are playing France, which are through already. And while Australia are playing, where are these games now? Once again, okay. Of course, this price on France is a lot higher, but Denmark might also be there with a loss. In case Australia are not gonna win, who are the dogs here? And it is also at market because, well, I would say all of these who lost 2 games, like Peru, they would still like to come back home with at least a point, so they are gonna try. Which is reflected in these prices, which are close to my own prices. Actually, yeah, okay. So they are very close. Draw would be indicated, which is a bit silly in this case, right? I mean, they are simply going to play football, so there's no draw tendency. And Denmark against France, this is a very low draw here, which I get already annoyed by when I see this. This is like market making the rules here. Denmark, no, a draw is fine, and France, yeah, they are gonna rest their players and so on. So this seems like almost like a fixed result. So I wish to skip this one. I mean, no way, no. Well, then you would have to go with France by figures, but this is ridiculous. I mean, depending on this game, and in case Peru are gonna win, you could still say, well, this game, Denmark do not need anything, right? So anything could happen here. Still, rather forget about these games. And Iran, Portugal, there would be Portugal indicated, which, well, Portugal here, 88.7, so they need a win still, or at least something there. And Spain need not to lose. And this is 134, so this is, yeah, well, I can't see that. What is wrong with Portugal? One could argue that a draw would do. Would they say so? Well, in some sense, this is a low price, but it's not really a low price. So that would be Portugal. What would be wrong with that one? They liked Iran market. I mean, there's Portugal, right? And I wouldn't see them going for a draw. Iran, they won the first one. But a draw would do, of course, for Portugal. But still, they are not going for a draw, right? I mean, would they start the game? We are playing Iran. Maybe we can squeeze out the point here. No, well, yeah, if things go wrong somehow, I mean, then you still, okay, hopefully we're not going to lose. No, I can't see that. So that would be Portugal. So Portugal, we had to support, right? Now we have Saudi against, I can't see anything wrong with that. So this is the last group, so we are through with that. Saudi against Egypt. Well, they are just playing for the first place and they are playing for nothing. So actually, but this is not indicated, and the other one, Russia, maybe indicated. No, nothing indicated. So I'm happy with this. This is, yeah, this is absolutely fine. This group. I mean, the easiest thing happened. The 2 favorites played, like in England, Panama, and Belgium group. The 2 favorites beat the dogs, and they are 6 points, and the others on 0 points. So this went straight forward. So we can forget about this. I was talking about the semi-final. Yeah. This is depending on the. So it's not the right time now to select these, right? We could actually go and look at the tournament winner, which might still be in some sense close to, or at least we can compare here, right? For once. Brazil, favorites now, or with this is exactly my price, and this is true price. Actually, this is bad format here, but 550 instead of 6 point, and I would pay 5.25, so that is perfect. I mean, no bet, and just going along with the market. Same with Spain. You got the same chance, right? Like Brazil. So this is exactly my figures. Germany are now on 750, which is way too low, I guess. No, it's just a bit too low. It's actually my price as well, 8.0. So that one's fine. Belgium in fourth place, 835. This is close to the true price. 675 would be my paid price, but 835 is not a bet yet. France. So even though those games are with those given chances, the simulation is running on this basis. So even with any kind of settlements, agreements the teams have, or any impact of if the prices were right or market were right with that, still my prices for the competition are going along with these. So in some sense, market that makes no sense what they are doing here. But I wouldn't know how to exploit that. Anyway, France would be indicated. This is obvious because people say they were no good. And of course you can say they were a bit right with that, because 2 games and comparing it with any other team you see, they were not that good. But they might still excel, I'm saying, as it's just 2 games against 2 outsiders. They've done their job. So France would be a bet. That's all I can say, and actually, I might consider. And now we have England. This is my price again, 9.5 or 10.0. Then we have Croatia, which might still be a bet. Here's Croatia. No, 15 is below 16.9, so this is not a bet. Portugal, this is 18. Well, Portugal here. It will be close again. I had 21, they pay 18. True price 31.25. Argentina, what is this? What are they doing here? Well, I would pay 30, they have 21. I mean, this is for me a bit ridiculous, right? At the moment, but obviously I'm not that far away. Uruguay, 30. Have a look here. That would even be a bet. But you can say, like France, they started with some good hopes, and the market was saying they are good, but they didn't play so convincingly. So this is maybe the reason, but it's not a big margin. I mean, 30 instead of 26.3, and you say, okay, and as they didn't play as well as I expected, so I'm gonna leave it. Still, computer would say, you can give it a try. Mexico, this is a joke, not at all. I mean, rather lay, but how could you lay that? Colombia, this is the last one, maybe we check. Colombia, why would this be a bet? No way. Or Russia. Now we're Russia, and Russia is a bet. 45 instead of 40. So why not give it a try? I mean, 10 euro. I don't know. Russia did play quite well, and I saw this when I saw in the Champions League sometimes, when they can play this very quick combinations, and in this the smallest space they got. Very quick combination, go. Switzerland, okay, I'm gonna check a few more. 50, that would be a bet as well, but we had that throughout, that Switzerland are always a bit underrated. I can't see much wrong with them, but to be honest, against Serbia, maybe even Serbia were the better side. Denmark, 90, this is once again, well, I had 100, the true price. Senegal, no further checks here. Okay, so last thing to do here would be to have a quick look at those stats. And we had these plenty of goals coming. And we started somewhere around here, right? When did they play Argentina? That was night game, right? So after this one, maybe we were still on 2.23 goals. And with all these goals coming here, which are 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 18, 23, 24, 26, 32, 30, 34 in 9 games. So that's close to 4 per game, right? The average they played at is now at 2.66, and this is again coming close to the one from the previous World Cup, which I had lowered a bit, so to say, with this video assistant referee, which I thought would lower the goals a bit more. Well, I wasn't that wrong. I mean, this is just a small margin here. Here they are close. This is 3 goals now too many. And of course, you can easily say, well, these games, England, Panama, also, when Panama just went out to somehow score a goal, which they did in the end, and they didn't care for their defensive. And games like that, right? Or also Belgium, Tunisia with an early goal, and then Tunisia said, well, there's nothing, we got to lose. So they went forward. They scored their goals. So you had some freak results, which depended on an early goal as well. In England, Panama, it was the same. So in some sense, I was still right with it. And now at least the goal average is there. I mean, I can hardly say I argue about why did I say 2.53, and I said that for 7 or 8 days, and then it had been 2.23. Then I said, well, it could have been some more, and you could fancy here a goal, there a goal, and so on. And then it's getting some more, and then I say, well, why had I been so low? I mean, it's just a tough task to get that right. And I would say, comparing it with the market, I was very good with that, because you also have this comparison. What do the others think? How many goals there should be? And I was rather a bit on over actually. So, and which was good in these games here. And I'm quite happy with that. Of course, we have this average probability played and expected. And obviously, with all those favorites winning now, except Japan, Senegal, which is still, this is almost as soon as you have 30% each. That's 33, 33, 33. This is anything can happen, and as it turned out, anything happened, right? It is one of the 3 evenly likely chances coming true, but still, it is the lowest one. So that would be the only outsider result from the last, you can say from these last 9, but you could also include Argentina, which is also all of them above 30%. So this is also one of them. So you could say, well, there's actually no freak result in 11 games. The last one was Denmark, Australia, which sounds ridiculous because it was just a draw. So we had, like, in last 16 games, we just had, well, this one result being below 30%, which was a draw, so which is still between 2, well, not even sides, but close sides, was still a pretty likely result, right? So we started off with some surprises, which biggest one was Germany, of course, against Mexico, with a 16 entry here. Colombia, Japan was also an unlikely one. Brazil, Switzerland, very obviously. Argentina, Iceland, and also, well, Portugal, Spain. You wouldn't really count, but of course a draw in such a game, and also with these many goals, and also Morocco, Iran. So we started off with a couple of these surprises, and in the end, just the favorites. Well, this is last 16 games, which means last the second part, half of the so far played tournament, so the second match day. The favorites proved they are better. Yeah, they did. But all of them, we started off with some problems. Not really Russia against Egypt, but rather Portugal, Morocco, Uruguay, Saudi, Iran, Spain, and also France against Peru. When you always felt, well, it could happen. They're not gonna win, or even outsider are gonna score. But also in Brazil, Costa Rica. But from then on, somehow the favorites. Yeah, well, it's not Switzerland who were favorites here, but this was a small error. So I overrated Switzerland or underrated Serbia a bit. But anyway, we had those favorites proving they are better. Second match day. So what else? There was nothing else, right? So we have almost an hour once again, but I hope you can take something from that, and I hope you get some good bets out of that, and hope to see you again. Hope you like, share, comment, subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye for now.